Hi, you guys. Sorry that it's been such a long while since my last video. I will do the best that I can to be a little bit more consistent and pump, pump this information out because it is important, like I said before. So, where we left off was at the tail end of Detective Chris Nelson's report. There's just one final report of Detective Chris Nelson's report. So we'll go ahead and finish that up because next will be Detective Chris Wagner. We don't want to confuse them. And that one, it's not one report, but we hear a lot from Detective Wagner. So let's finish Chris Nelson up. Okay. The date of this report is March 7th, 2017, and we are on page 114 from the Carver County Sheriff's Office investigation. During the course of this investigation, I have talked with two females who said they were psychics. I talked to both females and listened to the information they had pertaining to our investigation. I thanked both females for their time, and it was determined that they did not provide any new investigative leads into this incident. On June 28, 2016, at approximately 7:30 a.m., DEA Special Task Force agents and detectives from the Carver County Sheriff's Office met with employees from the Moline Fire Department that responded to Prince's emergency landing in Moline, Illinois. DEA Special Task Force agent Jeff Voller and I met with two paramedics at the Moline Fire Department and talked with them about Prince's medical emergency. We talked with Moline Fire paramedics Austin Rands and Marco Leone. I talked with Rands first and asked him to tell me about the call. Rands said the call came in late at night and the crew was sleeping. Rands said that they were called to assist at the airport for a male not breathing. Leone said that he was on Crew 12 and was the closest fire station to the airport. Leone explained that they were called for an emergency landing with an unconscious male, possibly not breathing. When Rands and his crew arrived, they were met by airport security and noticed the stairs to the plane were down. Rands and crew started to walk to the stairs and were stopped. Rands said he was stopped by Kirk Johnson, who said, "No, we'll bring him out," meaning Prince. Kirk then carried what Rands described as a lifeless body, which turned out to be Prince. Rands explained at the time Prince was only taking approximately 4 breaths a minute. Fire and paramedics placed Prince onto the cot and started an IV. Fire then asked Kirk if Prince had taken any drugs, and Kirk said Prince took 1 Percocet after his show. Paramedics gave Prince a shot of Narcan, and Prince immediately took a breath. According to Rands, this was a sign of an overdose emergency. After administering the Narcan, Prince's heart rate came back up, and so did his breathing. On the way to the hospital, Prince started to what looked like convulse, so Rands administered another round of Narcan. After the second round of Narcan, Prince started to come around, but was not answering questions correctly. Once paramedics pulled into the hospital, Rands looked at Prince and said, "Prince, how do you feel?" Prince responded, "I feel fuzzy." Rands then asked Prince if he remembered what had happened, and Prince said no. Rands said after the last question, all other questions went through Kirk. Rands told me that in the back of the ambulance, it was him, another paramedic, and Kirk. Hill sat in front with Leone. I asked Rands if he had asked Kirk about Prince's past medical history, and Rand said Kirk was really hesitant to tell them anything. I asked if Kirk carried anything with him into the ambulance when they left the airport, and Rand's/Leon said they thought a briefcase. Okay. Once they arrived at the hospital, Prince was wheeled into a private room and Rand cleared from contact with Prince, Kirk, and Hill. I asked Rand to clarify how much Narcan was administered. Rand said the Narcan was administered through an IV and they gave Prince 2 doses, each containing 2 milligrams. I then showed Rand a picture of Kirk, and Rand confirmed the picture was of the male Kirk who was riding in the ambulance with them. DEA Task Force Agent Voller then talked with Leon about what had occurred in the front of the ambulance, as Leon was the driver. Leon said that Hill sat up front with him, and Leon asked Hill if she knew why Prince was having any medical issues. Leon said Hill did not and was pretty upset. Hill told Leon that Prince just passed out. Leon said Hill was very quiet during the ambulance. I showed Leon a picture of Hill, and he confirmed Hill was the passenger that rode up front with him. Rand told me that Kirk had to be reassured numerous times about not having the fire personnel talk about the incident to the outside world. Kirk did not want information out to the public about the incident. Rand told me he talked with Kirk numerous times explaining the HIPAA laws. Rand and Leon advised they had no other information, and Agent Voller and I ended the interview with them. On June 29, 2016, DEA Task Force Agent Rich Hand and I, there's a lot of strange names in here. Rich Hand and I interviewed registered nurses Pamela Esparza and Kathy Curtis of Unity Point/Trinity Rock Island Hospital. The first person we interviewed about the care of Prince was Pamela Esparza. She stated everything went as normal when Prince was taken to his room. Once in the room, Esparza and the other 2 technicians entered the room and began to run vitals on Prince. Esparza did not know at first that it was Prince, but then realized it was him. When that occurred, Esparza exited herself from the room, and it was decided that Prince would be another nurse's patient. Did anybody bother to ask why? I'm kind of curious about that. Was she just starstruck? Did he make her nervous? Why? Did they know each other? They didn't know each other. Could they have known each other? Yeah, they could have. I asked who all was in the hospital room when she was there, and Esparza stated a male who said he was the manager. The manager. And a female. Agent Hand showed Esparza pictures of both Kirk and Hill, and Esparza confirmed that they were present in the room with Prince. Esparza said when Prince was stabilized, Kirk would exit the room frequently and be on his cell phone. Hill would stay with Prince. Okay, I'm just a little curious. I've got some phone logs, and so these are the 21st. Okay, that's Paisley Kirk phone records. Curious about that phone log, but we'll keep going. All right. Chances are we do not have the record anyway during that time frame. It's real weird. For example, this is Marone's phone log for April 21st. And as we can see, if you go to the very bottom, go to the very bottom, it only goes up to noon. So it starts at midnight on the 21st and it only goes to noon. Meanwhile, this is all of the 21st from the same time frame, which is midnight, even though the first exchange that anyone has on the 21st on Kirk's cell phone record is at 2:35 in the morning, and of course that's the incoming text from Sheila E., who knows nothing. But so he's got 5:19 in the morning, 5:43, 6:22, 7:04, 7:42, 7:42, 7:49, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on until noon that day. But we're supposed to believe that this 2:35 a.m. is the first activity on the 21st of April. Just wanted to show you that. Okay. So they said that they thought that Kirk Johnson had a briefcase, and that brings on more questions. I wonder what was in the briefcase is the most obvious question. Let's see here. All right, so Kirk was hesitant to tell them anything, and the briefcase. Okay, once they arrived at the hospital, Prince was wheeled into a private room, and Rands cleared from contact with Prince, Kirk, and Hill. Let's see. So then, sorry. Okay, so they showed pictures and they verified that Kirk was Kirk and that Judith was Judith. Okay, and then Judith Hill was pretty quiet in the ambulance. Excuse me. All right, so we're at the part where Kirk is really concerned about all this business being talked about between the fire personnel and the outside world, and they reassured him several times that, hey, there's HIPAA laws that protect you and Prince, and so they ended the interview with him. Okay, so then we're into the nurses, and someone recuses themselves away from Prince after she realizes that it's Prince, and it was then decided that another nurse would take Prince on. Excuse me, it's a really hot day today again. Gotta love that Minnesota weather. Okay. I asked who all was in the hospital room when she was there, and Esparza stated a male who said he was the manager, and a female. Agent Hand showed Esparza pictures of both. Okay, so Kirk was leaving the room frequently and on his cell phone when Prince was stabilized, it says. I asked if she knew or if anyone in the room had asked about what Prince had taken. Esparza said she was given a pill so it could be sent to the pharmacy to be identified. Esparza said she sent the pill. Well, now, hold on a second. Isn't Esparza the very nurse? It says up here, I just got done reading it. Esparza didn't know at first that it was Prince, but then realized it was him. When that occurred, Esparza exited herself from the room, and it was decided Prince would be another nurse's patient. So, if that was decided, then how come she's involved in Prince's anything at all? I'm a little bit confused by that. However, she said that when Prince was stabilized, Kirk would exit the room frequently and be on his cell phone, and that Judith Hill would stay with Prince. Okay, so Detective Nelson asks Nurse Esparza, who exited because it was Prince, if she knew or if anyone in the room knew about what Prince had taken and talked about it or asked about it. Esparza said she was given a pill so it could be sent to the pharmacy to be identified. Esparza said she sent the pill to the pharmacy and retrieved the pill when the pharmacy was completed identifying it. Esparza said when she received the information back from the pharmacy, she handed the paperwork to Dr. Manka along with the pill. Esparza did not have any other information, and we ended our conversation with her. The next nurse, okay, wait. So it took all of that to get to the part where one of the nurses was given a pill by Dr. Manka. But where did Dr. Manka get the pill? Because later on, as we go deeper and deeper into this story, we learn that after Dr. Manka exited Prince's hospital room and was in the hallway, that Kirk went and hunted her down and handed her a pill bottle. So there's that. So my guess, my educated guess, after being all up in this investigation, is that that pill came from Kirk. So it's sent off to the pharmacy to have it identified. The next nurse we interviewed, okay, I guess we're going to go to the next nurse now. So we'll find out what the findings were of that pill, I guess, like way later after we have forgotten about it, just like this whole entire investigation goes. Okay, so there's so much to it. The next nurse we interviewed was Kathy Curtis with Unity Point / Trinity Hospital. Agent Hand and I learned the following from Curtis in regards to Prince's stop at the hospital. Curtis came to work for the day shift and started at approximately 7:30 a.m. Curtis completed a change of the linens and then gave Prince his discharge instructions. Curtis advised when she was in the room a couple of times, Hill was present with Prince. Curtis said that Kirk came in the room when she was discussing the discharge instructions, as he was not present the first time she entered. Curtis had no other information to provide for her contact with Prince. Agent Hand and I ended the conversation and cleared. Note, other DEA agents and Carver County Detective Chris Wagner interviewed other personnel with Unity Hospital and Moline Airport Police and of the Moline Fire Department. Please refer to their reports for further information. End of report. Okay, so now that we are done with Nelson for now. Next we will get into Detective Wagner. Stay tuned.